What it is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Third Intermission Podcast. This is your boy Dave, signing on for this lovely Sunday evening in November. Of course, follow us at the socials at Toronto Third, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from. Of course, got the right hand of the king himself and the commander in chief, or sorry, we got the hood commander himself. Um, Troy in the building. We also got the right hand of the king, Avery McDougal in the building as well. First things first. Before I get into everything, yes, it is a little bit somber in the pod right now, obviously because of the fact that our boys in blue really came up just a little bit short, and I guess what we call double overtime in this situation. Um, but we'll start diving into that. We got a few other topics we want to talk about, including PWHL expansion, uh, John Tavares reaching 500 goals, and of course we have a little bit of a situation with the under 14 with an under 14 Ontario hockey team. First things first, Avery, how you doing?
Oh, it's a down day for people who, in large part, watch baseball in this country. It would have been nice to come on here and, discuss a Blue Jays World Series win, but it wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Yep. I mean, it is what it is at this point. I mean, the world's trying to clown us, but of course, the world's all full of clowns. So, I mean, it is what it is. Of course, like I said, we got the Hood Commander himself, aka the General, aka the General. Troy, Troy, how you doing, man?
Exhausted. I am exhausted, but otherwise, I'm doing okay. I feel like I share the same sentiment as both of you and Avery. It is disappointing that the days came up just short, but it's been one hell of a season. I mean, what they went from last to first and made the World Series and took out the damn Yankees along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we came up short, I still think this season was a success. I just hope I don't have to wait another 32 years for them to make the World Series again. Because doing
I
the
have a
math,
feeling.
I was
I have a
10.
feeling we won't.
I was 10. No, I think we'll be back hopefully next year, but if not next year, I think we'll definitely be back within the next 5 years for sure, easily.
No, I agree. All right, so yeah, we're gonna break this down real quick. Game seven, man. The fact that we pushed a super team like the Dodgers to extra innings, game seven in extra innings. And yes, we did have a chance to win twice at home. You know, it was kind of like the reverse of the American League Championship Series for us, you know. And the Dodgers were pushed to the brink. Like they were basically on their last legs. And that Miguel Rojas home run in the ninth inning, and then that Will Smith home run in the 11th inning kind of really did some damage to the Jays' hopes. But you know what? Like there's only so much you can do. Like sometimes baseball is a game of failures, right? Like, one bad bounce and the next thing you know, it's like it's two runs in, or one bad pitch and next thing you know, you're up 3-0, and then you're up by one run. And sometimes it happens, you throw a good fastball at 100 miles an hour, and next thing you know, it's like it's a home run, and it's not to say that Toronto didn't have their chances. It's just sometimes you have opportunities and you don't cash in, and that's pretty much what it was. And unfortunately, instead of tears of joy, it's just tears of heartbreak for the city of Toronto and for Jays fans across the country, and myself included. It was a very somber day in Toronto. Um, Been a very somber day across the board, and of course, Twitter being stupid as it always is. People kind of going off one way or the other about the Blue Jays. I'll say this openly: the Jays exceeded all expectations. Yes, I was pissed off at certain times with a certain manager, but you know what? Like he did his thing. Um, where do they go from here? I mean, the autopsy hasn't even begun yet on the J season as a whole. But one thing I do say for sure is this. I do see Max Scherzer coming back. I do see Bo Bichette coming back. I do see Ernie Clement coming back. I also see Shane Bieber coming back. Sir Anthony Dominguez is a free agent. Could we give him another shot? Maybe. Um, George Springer's on the last year of his contract. We'll see how that goes. So many other variables to think of. Like we also have to keep our hitting coach. We also have to keep our pitching coach. Update our bullpen, get another starter or two. Maybe get another like free agent bat that might come out and just destroy things. You never know. One thing I do know for sure is this: the Jays will be back in the World Series within 2 to 3 years, depending on whether or not there's going to be a lockout. Now, call me delusional, call me crazy, but you know what? You know what I say to that? Go suck your dad. Like we will be back in the World Series, dead ass, and we will be taking that ring back. Vlad is going to give a ring to his father, and he's going to take his bat, polish it up with pine tar, turn it sideways, and stick it straight up your monkey asses. Because anybody else who doesn't fuck with the Blue Jays. Excuse my language. And of course, you know, Blue Jays till I die. There you go. Avery, any thoughts?
That was a lot of thoughts right there, but I do want to say, bring back Granny Clement, man. That is someone who had 30 hits in the postseason, the most of any player in a single postseason. Remember, any player, what we know as MLB, when NLL were founded, or NL was founded, goes back to 1876. 1876 to 2025. And no player has had more postseason hits than Ernie Clement. Let that really sink in. He had a great run. So did Aston Barger. This is a team where you saw moments where you saw bats 1 through 9 step up. And you know what? I do think this James team will be back. We'll have a deep run again. I do think this team will find a way to have another deep run again in the postseason. Again, the big issue is now when, because like you mentioned, Dave, the labor dispute is a big thing right now in baseball. 2026 and 2027 are years where, people can be holding their breath in terms of what's going to happen to baseball in this coming off season in the next little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a team that, yes, had their chance to win game 6 and game 7. Yes, they should have finished it off. They should have finished off game 7 when they had the chance. But like Troy mentioned, 2024, this team was directionless. This team was not in a good spot. To go from last to game 7 of the World Series, that is an improvement that a lot of teams will never see in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. No, I fully agree with that. The fact that you had your draft pick from the previous year literally go from single A all the way to get legitimately game 7 of the World Series. That's unheard of. That's violently unheard of. To go toe to toe with a starting rotation that's worth $1.5 billion, not million, $1 billion, right? To strike out Otani on separate occasions or on multiple occasions. That's significant in itself. To hold to hold the top of the order, the top of the Dodgers order, literally the top three, if not top four in their batting lineup, to like just I don't know what was that stat? 7 for 50 throughout the entire series. Like Mookie Betts had a couple extra base hits within the last few games. Freddie Freeman had a home run. Otani had two, maybe three home runs. Will Smith came clutch in game 7. Teoscar Hernandez, like I don't know if he had a home run all series. Correct me if I'm wrong, Avery. Actually, that is a solid question because like what the hell is a Mookie anyway?
This nickname.
Troy's losing his mind right now. But
Yeah, now Mookie Betts' real name is not. It is for if those who don't know, it is not Mookie, it's Marcus. His actual full name is Marcus Lynn Betts.
Why couldn't he just go as Marcus? Like, that like
It's it,
His middle
it
name is Lynn.
Lynn, yes, Lynn.
I went to school with a guy whose middle name was Beverly.
I mean, there's a few guys who are named Lynn. If you're Lynn Swan, the former Steelers receiver, Hall of Famer, Lynn Swan. So there's a few guys who have Lynn as there. I mean, again, you're not the first brother to have a wild nickname, Coco Crisp. His real name isn't
I mean
Coco.
that fit though. That's the thing.
I mean, Coco is his real name. It's Covelli. His real name is Covelli Crisp.
Sounds like a painting.
Yeah, for real. Like, here's a Cavelli crisp. In any event, you know what? Like the Jays deserved every opportunity they could in order to get this far, and to push a super team to push them to game seven and go into extra innings with the defending champs is still something that most people can't really shit
Extra
on.
innings twice. Extra innings twice. So technically, they played 8 games. Because remember that one game went
Yeah,
18.
Yeah, that
I
game.
mean,
Jeez.
not too many people can take the defending champions to basically 2 games in the same night, and then have to
exactly.
play again 12 hours later.
That's baseball, man. That's
Yeah,
baseball.
it's bittersweet, but like, you know what? Like, you gotta shout out the actual Jays fans that came through during the regular season, and then of course all the fans that came through during the postseason as well. Of course, going through the Jays shop over the course of the last week, you see bandwagoners everywhere. But unfortunately, that's what happens in every single sport. Los Angeles is practically a city full of it's practically the city of bandwagoners, but that's kind of my opinion in that situation. But you know, when are you ever going to get a chance to get your hands on a World Series hat or a World Series T-shirt or hoodie or what have you? And I'm pretty sure all of that stock is going to go on clearance come next week. So I mean, I could probably
I
get.
want to get my hands on that. I want to get my hands on that Blue Jay Nike Tech fit. That was nice. I need to find out where I can get that.
Wait, which hat were you looking for?
Not the hat. The okay. So there was a photo posted early a couple days ago. I forget who's in this picture, but it's two of the Blue Jays players. They're walking with their backpacks, and they got on the Nike Tech, the Tech fleece stuff, the jacket and
Oh,
the
those
sweater
boots
and the
were
pants with the
fire.
Blue Jays thing on it. Yes.
Oh, those Blue Jays Tech fleeces, the World Series Tech fleeces.
Oh, I've
Like,
seen those.
Yeah.
yo, the streets would
Can't
go
find them
insane for those.
anywhere.
I think they're more of a team exclusive thing, I guess. But like, I mean, Avery might know some people. Like, he can track that down for us.
They might be team exclusive ones, but I can definitely see. But Toronto people, Sticks and Co almost jumped me during this series, eh?
Really?
Because I came out because I'm not okay. Here's why. I think it was LB.com posted a picture of what's your favorite Jays logo and uniform, and I'm an ardent hater of the Black Jays era. I hate that era of the Blue Jays logo. I hate the '04 to 2011 look. I hate it. I cannot stand that hat. I cannot stand that logo. I cannot stand those jerseys. And Twitter got on me for that hard.
Which one
Which
was it?
hat? The one with the flats? The
What's
one
up?
with
Was that?
the which hat? The one with the flats? The winner?
No,
The Jays hat with
in general that
the
logo, in general that branding, I hate it. I hate the era of branding.
Which one? Was it from like say oh
'04 to 2011. That was the peak Doc Holiday, Vernon Wells look, the '04 to 2011
is
one
that the
with
one
you
the
hated that one?
with the bird standing beside the T with the
no no no
baseball
the no
bat?
no no the Black Jay one with the streamlined bird, the angry bird. When they went to the black uniforms,
Yeah.
I can't stand that rebrand. I cannot stand that look.
Damn.
It didn't fit in. To me, it did not fit in with the rest of the Jay's historic imaging. I thought it was a ugly logo and fit. And Toronto folk got on me for that because saying you're racing. I know Hoodmans love. I know Hoodmans love that black cap and with the flaps, with the ear flaps. Because if you wore those, you're up to no good. You're up to no good if you had a Jay's cap with the flaps on it.
They really do need to bring that back, though.
The
You want
flats from the
violence?
Air Force Ones to match the black
Nah,
Air
you
Force
Exactly.
nah
AF1s.
nah 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 nah. You want trouble, Dave. Nah. Anyone who wore that cap with ear flaps was trouble. Nah, Dave wants trouble again. Ain't
Hey,
nobody
it's
wore
Bills when
that.
we mean business.
Ain't
Run
nobody
it back
wore
next year.
ain't nobody wore that cap with honor with ear flaps. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That's funny. Jeez. Well, I mean, again, it was a great run while it lasted. Unfortunately, you know, certain teams had to go and ruin it. Of course, game six, the Raptors had to end up beating Cleveland for their NBA Cup matchup, and then the Leafs had to go and basically spoil the party by winning against Philly in games on game seven. So, but it is what it is. Congratulations to the Blue Jays. Obviously, you did the country proud. Uh, Massive shout out to Vladdy and Ernie. Like honestly, I those two were my picks for World Series MVP for the Jays. For the Dodgers, like the fact that Yoshinobu Yamamoto ended up getting MVP, like it was very well deserved because like homeboy like basically shut down the Blue Jays left, right, and center. A complete game in game two, 7 innings, 7 solid innings in game six, and then literally pitching on 18 hours rest just to help the Dodgers end up winning the whole goddamn thing the next night. Like that's well deserved, man. And I gotta tip my cap to him on that one.
Has there ever been a World Series MVP from the losing team? Anybody know?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. Offhand, I don't recall offhand that happened before for the losing
Yeah, I
team.
don't think that's ever happened.
That's a great question,
Because it's
but
happened in hockey before, right? I believe that was J.S. Jaguar, but I've never seen
it
that happen in
happened.
any other sport.
It happened in 2024. McDavid won the Conn Smythe.
Exactly. And like it also happened, well, it hasn't happened in the NBA finals since Jerry West did it back in the 60s.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I'm
sorry,
trying.
the 60s.
Yeah, it was Jerry wasn't. Yeah, in 60s. Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, yeah. It's never gone to a losing team player before.
I feel like if, say, the Jays had won, I'm pretty sure Yamamoto would have definitely been deserving of it. But like, I felt like that award should have gone to Ernie.
I think you would have had you. I think you would have had three options. You would have had Ernie Clement, or you would have had Vlad or Alejandro Kirk.
I wouldn't say Kirk in that situation. I'd say more Trey Savage than Kirk.
Yeah,
Because like considering his rookie performances and the way he pitched in game seven, like I don't think he was like say outside of the conversation. But like I said, in any event, I tip my shot glass to y'all and to the Blue Jays. Congratulations on a great season. Jays will be back. All right.
Well, now that baseball's done,
Mm-hmm.
the focus now, the Toronto team focus, squares focus. Sorry, blah, can't talk. I'm tired. The focus now goes back to the Raptors, but more importantly, to the Leafs, who have been kind of coasting by in October. And I'm sure, Dave, this is what you were kind of leading into here.
Yes.
Um, how do we feel about this mundane October? I know that you two have been able, well, most probably you two have been able to see more games than I have because my work schedule is unforgiving and I've been working every night that Leaf game has been on. What do you guys think?
Honestly, right now, with the Leafs being 6-5-1 at the time of this recording, um, we did state this before a couple weeks ago. Toronto's not out of it, but Toronto's not in it in the same breath. And one of the most upsetting things about this team is that now that they have Joseph Wall back from whatever was going on, Toronto has still not found a way to find another gear and be the team that they need to be. And sure, it's only been what 12 games, but like everything still needs to click, and things aren't clicking as much as they used to. Now, again, it's extremely early, so I mean, you can't really make that distinction. But the Leafs are not being the team that they need to be right now. Now, I might be wrong, you know, it might just be, them just trying to gel together because, of course, they lost a good scoring piece in Mitch Marner, and he's now playing in Vegas. Same point in time, it's like you have a couple players that can actively turn the game on its head, and Nick Roy and Matthias Michelli. But it, I don't know. And like, I mean, Avery, you've probably watched a good few games yourself, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So, I mean,
Yeah, no, this team, it appears they're stuck right now in neutral. And before I continue, I do want to make one amendment from our World Series MVP talk. There has been one MVP from a losing team. You got to go all the way back to 1960 World Series, where Bobby Richardson of the Yankees won the MVP as Yankees lost that World Series. So it's been a long time. They lost that World Series to the Pirates now.
wait, was that the same World Series where Bill Mazeroski hit that Game 7 home run?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. That's insane.
Bobby Richardson was the only World Series MVP of a losing ball club. But back to our point here on the Maple Leafs when it comes to this team, and you're right, this team is stuck in neutral gear, and I want to see how it's gonna work. I want to see how many starts now Wall gets going for because he'll need some ramp up time to really get back into gear in net, working with Andy Stolarz. But I do want to see what his game is like right now because it's clear Stolarz is gonna need a break. He's gonna need to recover a little bit after having a heavy workload to begin the season, guys.
I feel like one of the most significant things that any team needs is strong goaltending. And I don't know if Stolarz can be that guy. Can he be the same guy that he was last year when the Leafs were on that heater going into the playoffs? I don't know. But I mean, Troy, obviously you haven't, like you said, you haven't seen many games, but like based off of what you've seen with Anthony Stolarz right now, like do you think he's still number 1A at this point, or like do we just shift over to Wall and keep Stolarz on the bench?
I think when it comes to Stolars, um, from what I've heard him say to the media and from the little clips I've seen here and there, it sounds like he's just not getting the help he needs in front of him. I don't. I think he's what is it like a eight something sub 800 save percentage right now.
Hmm.
Um, I still think he can be our guy. It's a different team that's in front of him this year. Mind you, only a couple pieces have changed, but I think with the loss of Marner and the two new signings, everybody's just trying to figure out how to play in front of him. Um, with Wool, I guess officially being back, because I don't know if there's been an official statement yet. Um, I think the Steelers just got to ride this out a little bit more. Um, when it comes to Caden Primo, there was like 20 different choices I would have went with before signing him as the safety net, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
With the Wall being back, Primo now becomes more or less the fourth string. Um, and he's going to have to work his way back up through the system because, I mean, like, he's got to outplay Hildeby and Wall pretty much to get a sniff of the league again. Mind you, he is an insurance policy, but like I said, I think there was probably much better options than him. So that way,
Hmm.
when Stillers needs a break, you have a capable guy who can stand in between the pipes and make those saves. Um, for Stolars himself, he might still be. He probably won't publicly admit it, but I bet you he's probably still feeling some effects of his concussion from last year, which might be affecting his play a little bit. But I I I'm not ready to pull the plug on him yet. It's too early. We say this every year. It's it's too early to hit the panic button. I mean, yes, we are. I believe we're sitting 24th out of the 32 teams. Um, it's like a 3 or 4 way tie for 12th in the conference because um, there's a whole bunch of teams locked down at the bottom. If the playoffs were to start today, which thankfully they don't, we're absolutely sitting outside the playoff picture, and I believe two of the three teams that occupy the top three spots in the Atlantic were non-playoff teams last
Hmm.
year. But yeah, I think there's probably some things that Solar just doesn't want to say for fear of throwing his team under the proverbial bus. But I definitely think that he's still our guy, and Wall is still our guy too. Um, when we'll see Wall play a game probably won't be for another 3 weeks. So I mean, like we're stuck with Primo, unless
Hmm.
unless management's like, you know what, bring up Hildeby because we need some W's on the board. And another thing that we say religiously, or we've said religiously over the last few seasons, every point that you can get between now and December absolutely helps. We can't be squandering away points because we can't play defense in front of our goalie. Um, I can't really say much in terms of overall team play again because I haven't seen anything because my work doesn't like me watching Leaf games. Um, but yeah, I say just give it time, and I feel like Solar will rebound. Um, I'm not I'm not worried about him, not right now.
Fair enough. Um, just tying on to things here. Of course, over the past over the past few days, John Tavares hit that monumental 500 goal mark against Columbus, and you know he happens to be one of the only bright spots for the Leafs right now. Of course, Matthews hasn't done much within the last few games. Uh, some of our secondary scoring, like say William Nylander, Matthias Michelli, Max Domi. They've been making some noise on the score sheet. Same with Matthew Nyes. Of course, back on Saturday, Chris Tanev went down. I believe it was either Saturday or Wednesday, but Tanev went down with a minor injury, and he's out. He's out for a little bit. So, of course, it's obviously next man up in that situation. If I'm the Leafs right now, like, should I be concerned? Let's say like one of Toronto's best defensemen has been taken out for potentially a long period of time. And Avery, I'm going to ask you, like, say, how are we feeling about this?
That's a big loss. Chris Tanev is a big loss, and of course, you stretch it off in the game against Philadelphia. So hopefully, I know he gave a thumbs up, and hopefully his recovery is speedy. That's good to see him.
Mhm.
You're showing, he's aware, he was alert after what happened. But that's a big loss. He's someone who has been very effective, no matter where he goes in this league. So again, it's gonna be a big challenge to see who steps up if he can't return immediately. And you mentioned there the John Tavares goal. And looking at John Tavares, he's someone who Mr. Consistent, Mr. Consistent throughout his entire career, 35 years old. And this is where you see the player like him usually you would start to see signs of decline. But Tavares right now at 35 has 16 points in 12 games. Coming off a year we had 74 points last year. Year before that, 65. Year before that, 80. John Tavares is still on pace to be between that 70 to 80 point guy. And to me, that is so big on a team that's still, again, trying to break on through, which I saw a broken record saying that. But the fact that he is still that consistent is so impressive to me. And again, and in large part, been healthy because he has not played less than 80 games in a season, excluding the COVID years, since 2013-14. He, in large part, has been one of your more consistent guys who always stays in the lineup.
John Tavares doesn't get enough credit for being what Avery is describing as the consummate professional for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Congrats to him, by the way, for scoring 500. He is the 49th player in league history to do so. Yeah, he has been a model of consistency. Hopefully, players, look to that and learn from him on how to be a consistent player. You don't always have to score the fanciest goals. You don't have to go out there and be a rampe and just fucking try to run everybody over. You just gotta you, you just gotta play your game. Play your game within the system, and you'll do all right. Learn to play the 200-foot game like Tavares has done. You'll do all right. Um, yeah, I mean he he's been a great player for us. I feel like his play has improved. Well, I wouldn't say improved because it's not like he was a trash player before getting the seat. I feel like there's less stress to his game without wearing the C. Like he doesn't have to worry about as much. He doesn't have to shoulder as much responsibility.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I feel like without him having the burden of trying to be Mr. Everything for the Maple Leafs, I feel like that's allowed him to open up his game more and showcase why he was a number one. He went number one overall, right? Was that
Hmm.
right? Or he was a top draft pick, at least.
He was number one. Yeah, Tavares was number one overall in the '09 draft.
Yeah, yeah. So like he's starting to show why or I wouldn't say starting to. He's being more comfortable showing why. That I feel like that's a better way to put it. He's more comfortable showing why he was the number one pick. I don't have anything but good things to say about the guy. I mean, like he's good offensively. He knows how to play in his own end. More often than not, he's making smart plays. And it's just something the whole team needs to look at and just try to make their game off of. And if everybody can do that, then we're looking at team success for sure.
Well, of course, looking at the Leafs schedule going into later this week, of course, we have the Leafs on Amazon Prime Time with Sidney Crosby and the Penguins. Of course, the Mammoth get their first visit as the Mammoth in Toronto on Wednesday night, and we actually have a surprise for y'all in regards to that game. So just stay tuned to the end of the episode. Of course, the Boss Man's birthday will feature the Leaf Dem and the Toronto Bruins, and then of course, it's back to back as Carolina will come into town, and the Leafs will play the Leafs will play back to back games for the first time this season, and it'll be say their fourth game in 6 days. So it's going to be a little bit of a grind for the Leafs. Of course, the Remembrance Day game, they'll be on the road against Boston. But of course, the Leafs do have a little bit of work cut out for them as they're going to be taking on the Boston Bruin team that basically just ran roughshod over them a couple seasons ago. And then of course, a very young and very hungry Mammoth team. And then of course, you also have the Hurricanes as well. So this is going to be very, very interesting moving forward. Um, I think this is also another visit from Kyle Dubas and Jason Spezza, if I'm correct. So that's obviously going to be that's obviously going to be a fun situation for the Leafs. Moving on, and folks, just a little bit of an advisory here. Discretion is advised. An under 14 Ontario AA hockey team is currently under investigation and also facing suspension, as a number of players have done some acts that have kind of created a little bit of a problem within the hockey world. Avery, I'm going to let you discuss this one as this is a very serious matter. We know how well you articulate these things, and of course, I think Yeah, considering the fact that you've had such a significant role within the hockey world and hockey media, I feel it's more appropriate to have you discuss this. So go ahead and take it away. And folks, Avery speaking while he's muted. So
All right, there we go. Sorry, now I'm back. There we go. So yeah, so as mentioned by Dave, six players from an under 14 AA team in Stony Creek, Ontario, were placed on probation for 2 years, and they were warned that any further misconduct can lead to permanent bans after an investigation found they engaged in repeated bullying and sexual misconduct throughout the 2023-2024 season. And the inquiry ruled that the head coach failed to protect players, showed contempt for the process, refused to accept responsibility for what happened, and a bit of what was inside this inquiry and inside the report alleges that there was also there was a Snapchat account that was described as a cesspool. The Snapchat account made jokes about sexual violence, degrading memes, comments, homophobic slurs, racism, sexism, and other content in it that is quite frankly very revolting that this is happening with a U14 hockey team and players were held down and had their clothes forcibly removed. Players also involved in this blocked the door so that coaches or no adults could enter the room while this happened. And I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking to myself, reading this again, U14 guys. These are kids who are barely teenagers, junior high students, kids who are. It is more disturbing that this culture, that kids this young think that this is just funny or jokes, and again shows that there is so much work to do, so much work to do when it comes to changing how hockey operates at all levels, guys.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Avery. I think it's disturbing that we have kids this age doing these kind of things to each other and other people. Um, I don't know what their upbringing is like or was like for them to be doing things like this. But like you said, that's such a young, tender age to be engaging in any of these things. I mean, nobody at any age should be engaging in any of these things. I don't
Yeah,
condone that. But it makes you wonder, like, where are they learning this stuff from? Like like you said, these guys they're barely teenagers. Where are they learning this stuff from, and why? I want to know why they think that that was okay to do. Because like, have they have they been 4 years older? Their legal age in Canada to be charged as an adult. So these, we'll call it what it is. We'll call them children. These children need help. They need guidance, and they need absolute discipline because this is embarrassing not only for the teams that they play for the sport they play, for their parents. Imagine what their parents are thinking because there a lot. I'm sure a lot of these parents are just like, I did not raise my child to do this kind of BS.
hmm
Like if I'm the parent and I find out my kid engaged in this, I'm gonna. I know we're trying to reduce the amount of profanity on this podcast, but I will wholeheartedly say if that was my kid and I found out they were doing that, I am putting belts to asses in front of everybody, not just my kid. I will be beating all.
I think
Oh, I
we
think
lost Troy on that one.
Oh yeah, Troy just froze there, but I'm not sure if you heard all that, Dave.
Oh no, I heard all of it, and like you know what, going
No
belt
way
to
that those
ass.
Oh,
coaches.
oh,
There's
you're
no
back,
way
Troy.
those
Yeah.
coaches. Sorry, I didn't realize I had cut out there. Yeah, there's no way that those coaches should have been locked out of the room. There's I don't understand how something like that was even allowed to happen with kids of that age. Like these aren't grown men. These are children, and heaven forbid something happened to one of them that's absolutely devastating because then that's lawsuit. I mean, I'm sure there's lawsuits already or about to be in progress, but that's It's disrespectful to their parents. It's disrespectful to their teammates. It's disrespectful to the sport. They across the board, they need to do better.
No, I fully agree with that. And like honestly, if it were my kid in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. Probably whoop somebody's ass like right in front of their friends and be like, listen, you're catching this belt whether you want to or not. And then, for added measure, be like, I'm gonna be that parent that's basically whooping your kid's ass the same way. Be like, listen, I'm gonna do something that you failed to do as a parent. And if you really have a problem with that, I'm gonna whoop your ass too.
Well, it's
Come
like
see me. You got a problem, you can get these hands too.
my thing too is like, yo, the fact that their head coach, name is Dave Marcanti, the fact that you've got a head coach who showed contempt for the process, refused to accept responsibility for what happened. You're the adult in the room. You are the adult. You're the head coach, and you are a problem. If you don't think that this should have stopped, or you show contempt, or if you are against an investigation, you are a major problem. You're a disgrace to the game. You're a disgrace to the sport, buddy.
How are you the adult in the room, like you said, and you're letting this happen? And you're out here giving attitude as if it's like, oh, nothing's wrong. I'm not doing anything. These kids are good boys. Blah 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 blah. It's like, listen to me very carefully. If a hockey program had to get canceled, it is your job as the coach to make sure that my kid is safe while playing for you. You have an obligation, a duty, a responsibility, and basically any form of like adult supervision for you to make sure that my kid is safe, right? In a locker room full of kids that are basically the same age as him, best believe somebody's catching an ass whooping, and like that's kind of not okay.
It is like that's the kind of thing in which if we want the sport to change, we gotta get these guys out of here. Because you are as bad as everybody else. You're out here, like you said, Dave, you're catching attitude. Or you think, well, it's not that bad, or it's exaggerated, or whatever he was thinking in that aspect. You are just as bad as coaches and administrators who have been around these minor hockey programs for decades, adding to the issues of why kids want to leave the sport, why hazing is still a thing, or why we still have these stories coming out year after year after year after year. And a lot of these people, there are people out here in hockey who, Rick Westhead and Katie Strang. Well, if you clean up the sport, then you would have no reason to fear a Katie Strang or Rick Westhead now, would you?
No, but unfortunately, some people like to just keep certain things under wraps, and it's like, whoa, whoa, I didn't like the fact that it's being made public and this, that, and the other, and they're ruining sport. It's like, no, like, don't don't get upset about the fact that you got caught for doing something wrong when you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Am I right or am I wrong in that
No,
situation?
you're not wrong. And whenever I see people, I don't want to deviate too much. Whenever I see people, calling out Rick or calling out Katie and saying, oh, you're trying to ruin the game, you're trying to do this and that, you're trying to da, 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 da. No, no, no. They like hockey. They love hockey. They want to be better. Why are you mad when they do their jobs? Why are you mad when they do capital J journalism to try and make hockey better? Let's unpack that.
It sounds like somebody's trying to hide something at that point. That's the only thing you can genuinely think of because it's like if you're out here trying to do some shady shit, like for example, the Kyle Beach situation, like that of course was extremely heartbreaking for everybody involved in that situation, Kyle especially. Because it's like you're on a Stanley Cup winning team and you're sexually assaulted and you wanted to be anonymous in that situation. Unfortunately, it had to come out where you had to say something. And now look at the Blackhawks. Look at the Blackhawks organization. Their reputation is tarnished from the fact that they got Connor Bedard. Is still kind of crazy. But again, these kids are under 18. Why are we letting this happen?
To me, I don't want to say understand it because I don't, because right there, it's children. It's
Mm-hmm.
children. And the way that the sport treats kids in various ways. To me, it makes my blood boil. It makes me furious because this is why people say they're done with hockey. This is why people want to walk away from the sport. It's stories like this we keep on seeing from the bantam levels, the CHL, other levels where this keeps on going and people don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
I'm glad we're talking about this because the more you talk about it, the more you bring it up, the more hopefully you can bring about change. But it's hard work. There are good people out there who are trying to do their job, but it needs everybody pulling in the same direction to make sure that these kind of stories stop happening or stop coming out.
Can only do it one day at a time, and I think that's one of the most significant things that we have to worry about. Of course, at all levels, it doesn't matter if it's like say a men's game or a women's game. Like there has to be some form of accountability and some form of just responsibility for everybody to look after everybody. It doesn't matter if it's not your job. It doesn't matter if it's like not your team. Like say, ideally speaking, it's like there needs to be a little more, not necessarily just accountability, but a lot more leadership, to look out for one another instead of just either beating the crap out of them or hazing them or doing some very terrible, vile things. But hopefully, just hopefully, there are some like minded people who are willing to actively change the game and then make sure that game changes for the better and not for the worse. And I feel very hopeful about that. And anyways, moving on to changing the game, and we're going to go to our final topic of the evening. The PW is looking to expand once again. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, Dave, you're correct in saying that. It's been reported that the PWHL is looking to expand to between 2 to 4 teams in time for the 2026-2027 season. We don't know if it's going to be 2 or 4 yet. We just know that's the range that is going to be happening, reported by Ian Kenny from the Hockey News. And the lead markets, there's a few markets that are in the mix for the next set of teams. The markets that are among the front runners include Quebec City and Edmonton and Hamilton. Halifax is in the mix as well too. Of course, we've heard beforehand the idea of Chicago, Pittsburgh also being in the mix. Those are the markets that had takeover tour games. So interesting to see that the PW is yes again ready to expand more and more. So eventually it's inevitable. We're gonna get a proper Eastern and Western Conference in the PW, and they're diving full into the idea of adding more Canadian teams. And it's good to see again. I know we had the Takeover Tour game in Edmonton last year. That sold out very well. And we're getting Canada USA playing 2 games in Edmonton before the Olympic Games. They're playing in December at Rogers Place. So the PW expansion is my one. I'll say as much. I do want to say with the PW is that right now I don't want them to overexpand too quickly. You have to stabilize your existing organizations before you get too far ahead of yourselves. Of course, there's the issues in Ottawa with the Lansdowne Arena project, which we can talk about later on a different day. But make sure everyone is stable and good before you overexpand too much. But I do like the fact that we're almost certainly going to get a team in Edmonton and probably Quebec City team. Although I will guess probably going to be an American team in that mix. So I will guess and probably say an American team coming in again will probably be I'll say Chicago. I'll say it would be Chicago, but I think Pittsburgh could definitely be in that mix for another team in the PWHL.
I fully agree. I did say this in our group chat earlier this week. I still feel that say having an LA and having a team say within the I guess within the California Nevada area, of course, would also be significant as well. But of course, I don't know if women's hockey is also a thing, say within certain areas, like of course within the state of Texas, like is the only women's sport that
Oh
we've
yeah, there's
seen.
hockey down there. Yeah, there's hockey in Texas, women's
No.
hockey.
I know there's hockey in Texas, but like I'm not sure if there's any interest for a women's hockey team in Texas. That's what I mean. That's what I'm alluding to.
Oh yeah, no, there's been interest. I think there's been. I can't think of a place where there isn't interest in North America. Like there's people who've had interest in you mentioned LA and Vegas. I know that there's been rumors floated about on if they could go to California or Nevada. So it wouldn't shock me if eventually after this round of expansion in 26, 27, it wouldn't shock me if we hear about further Western expansion. Because again, you're gonna want to eventually fill up the West Coast and give an easier travel route for teams like Seattle and Vancouver. So it would
Hmm.
make sense. Yeah, it would make sense to bring in an LA, a Vegas. If you remember, the PHF, they had their title game in Arizona, and there is the U of Arizona State Sun Devils women's team in the Phoenix area. So the Sun Belt region of hockey for women's hockey, there is interest in Sun Belt areas for women's hockey. So I think the big thing, I think right now, and this is just me guessing here. Again, we'll bring in some analysts who know the league a little bit better. But I do think the big thing right now is getting your core markets in first. Your Quebec's, Edmonton's, and of course your core American markets, your Detroit's, Pittsburgh,
Chicago.
Chicago's, those markets in first, and
Mm.
then you'll start to see more radical expansion with the Sun Belt markets coming in. So
Mm.
I do think, again, I could see 6, 7, 8 years the PWHL eventually being close to 20 teams, but it's a matter of make sure everybody is good before you get real ambitious because you don't want to be in the same breath looking at all this expansion while you're facing potentially relocation of a team.
Hmm. Troy, I want to hear your thoughts on this real quick.
I think Troy is still
Um,
away. Oh, there, Troy's back.
no, I'm here. I'm just sitting in the dark trying to get my dad. Um, well, there's a light on, but that's why you can barely see me. It's one of those.
Mackenzie.
It's one of them string light things.
Mm.
I think expansion for the P Dub is good. It shows that they're willing to, expand the game by pretty much any means necessary. Um, the markets that they're looking into seem like they are sustainable markets. Um, so we'll have to see how that goes. I heard something somewhere. Neighbor, you can correct me if I'm wrong. The two new expansion teams was Vancouver and Seattle, right? I believe that they're releasing
Yeah.
actual team names sometime soon.
Yes,
So
Yes.
it'll be
there's.
interesting to see what names they pick. And in
Mhm.
regards to the expansion, hopefully they put them in good cities and they have good names. I also saw something somewhere that um, Ottawa is looking to. I don't want to say relocate because it's way too early to be talking about relocation for teams in this league. I think they were looking at a different arena because wherever they're playing at now, it doesn't sound like they're quite satisfied with the arena they're playing in, and I don't know if that has to do with capacity or if it has to do with just the ice in general. I don't know. Avery, do you know anything about that?
It's more capacity with the Lansdowne 2.0 redevelopment because the charge draw an average of just over the charge get over 6,000 fans. The Ottawa Charge do really, really well when it comes to attendance in that arena district in Ottawa. They have a solid crowd, and redevelopment would see them go to a capacity which would be smaller than what they already play in. And the issue with the charge's concerns are we don't want to be in a building in which we will lose capacity. And I totally get that. I totally get that because if you're averaging close to 7,000 fans and they had games this year, like the Ottawa had games this year where they are packing in over 8,000 fans into the arena. So going or being in a venue potentially where you're losing out on 1,000 fans or 1,500 fans, I wouldn't be a fan either.
No, I agree with that. Some very interesting times, especially within the PW. Troy, it sounds like you got a thought real quick though.
Yes. So I'm currently scrolling through Twitter, just trying to clear up my notification stuff, and I came across a very interesting tweet. So the person, their username is Ash, and their Twitter handle is Crosby Stitches. So they asked, okay, so everyone hates the Dodgers except Dodgers fans. What's the NHL team equivalent? I am scrolling through the quote tweet, and would you two like to guess at the two teams that are at the seems to be at the tip of everyone's tongue? And I'm sure you can. I'm sure the both of you can guess who they are.
Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers.
You've got one of them correct. That you got the Eastern Conference team right.
Who would be the other team then? That's a great question.
I feel like I know who that is instantly, who the Western team it would be. And it's gonna
What's it?
my Vegas.
Yeah,
Ding, ding, ding. A lot of these quote tweets are the Vegas and the Florida Panthers.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's a couple of votes. There's a couple of votes in here for the Habs, the Rangers, and the Bruins, but it seems like the overwhelming response is Vegas and Florida. I'm seeing a lot of Vegas in here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I understand why.
Oh well, that's just crazy. Uh, I guess we can end on that note. So, of course, like we said, later on in the week, at the time of this recording, Leafs have 4 games this week. Penguins on Monday, Mammoth on Wednesday. Um, like I said, we have a surprise for y'all. We're going to unveil that in just a second. Bruins on the Boss Man's birthday. And then on the 9th, we have the Hurricanes in Toronto. So, of course, Toronto on a 4 game homestand. On Wednesday, we will be dropping our first season game of the week. So, of course, we will be live streaming this game with you. So, we will be watching this team and we will be commenting and just, shooting the shit with y'all. So, we are very excited to do that. Unfortunately, for some of us, we'd have to wait. You'd have to wait and see some of our faces, as, of course, I need a fresh cut before y'all can see me as the demon I am, and I would much rather be fresher than a bowl, or fresher than like a jug of Kool-Aid that just went in the fridge, and just be Mawson in the situation. So it'll more than likely be Avery and one of our other teammates on the YouTube channel this week. So be prepared for that.
Hmm. Yes, yes, we've been in discussions for we've been wanting to launch season game of the week since we got back to planning out this season, what it will look like. So yeah, so on the Third Intermission YouTube channel, you can join us live for Toronto and Utah, offer your comments, questions, all complaints to Dave. You know, that to Dave Barnett. That's the man, any of your issues.
You're wild for that one. All right. Anyways, be prepared for that. And also, we are going to start migrating our shows from audio to video, and we will also have the audio stream as well. So start looking out for that at the end of the month. Other than that, thank you for letting us grace the space between your head top. Of course, Avery and Troy, thank you very much for coming through. And we want to thank you, the listener, for taking the time to hear us. Anyways, congratulations to the Blue Jays on becoming American League champion. We will be back with another episode. Of course, Avery will be in the building. I will not be in the building as, of course, your boy will be reaching level 38. So, or sorry, reaching level 38 in the game of life. So hopefully, I get to enjoy that as much as possible, and I will be back on the 15th. Or let me rephrase that, on the 17th. Any final thoughts, guys?
I will give one final shout out. Even though we had that little comment about the hated NHL teams, I will give full props to the Panthers for this past weekend, sorry, walking in their pregame walk-ins in Jamaica t-shirts, showing support for relief Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. So the fact that the Panthers did that, I think, is a great gesture on their hand.
Yeah, prop art. Troy, anything else from you?
Um, if you have the Tim Hortons app, I guess do the Tim Hortons the hockey picks. I am on. I if I'm counting today, which they haven't updated the thing yet, I am on a 16 game heater. I'm about to finish my week of free coffee, and if all goes well, I'm about to score my second free week. Um, I look forward to tomorrow night because tomorrow I'm doing a day shift, so I actually get to watch the Leaf game tomorrow night.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
In regards to the Hurricane Melissa thing, if I haven't updated you guys yet, I am sorry. My dad is alive. I don't know how well he's doing. He's with the next door neighbor. He has no meds. He has a bit of a heart condition. He is diabetic, so my stepmom's trying to fly out as soon as the airports can reopen to bring him his new batch of meds. Um, he he's very resourceful, but sometimes it's to a fault. Um, he has no cell phone and no tablet because they got water damage. I have been able to secure a phone for him to be brought down to him. Um, and I want to commend the people around the world who have shown support and who are doing their best in the relief efforts in Jamaica because I've seen pictures. It looks like it's war torn. Um, I can't thank everybody enough who've been reaching out to me for my dad. Um, I commend all the people on social media for using that as a positive tool to try and locate their loved ones. I've seen that a lot of that has been helpful, despite that one woman who from Ghana who was complaining about Jamaicans and this and that. I'm surprised that she hasn't taken that tweet down yet because she is getting cooked for her nonsense. Um, Other than that, you know, I hope everybody, Dave, Avery, Jason, Marsha, Sebastian, all of us at Third Intermission have a great week. And I hope you, the listener, also have a great week. Um, enjoy your time with your loved ones because you don't know when that time will end. And I will end this by how we always end it. Drink water and mind your business.
Well said, Troy.
Right. For Dave and Avery, this is the Third Intermission podcast. Thank you for letting us grace the space between your head tops. We'll see y'all on Wednesday night. Deuces.
This and deuces.